Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Stash Challenge 2025. We just finished up with September. I'm saying good morning because it is the morning, but you might not be watching this in the morning, and that is okay. And hopefully you have enjoyed watching these vlogs while you're doing your making. My goal was for it to be something kind of relaxing that you may not necessarily have to look at. You can look down, do your making, hear some fun music, and hopefully see some cool stuff being made. If you're new here, my name is Mariah with Mariah Knits, and I am your host for the Stash Challenge 2025. So let us kind of dive right in. We are working on a challenge until the end of October 31st, where we're all going to do something a little scary. I talked about this in the last video called Rip That Whip. So we're all ripping out, well, whoever would like to, we're ripping out any of our whips that are not serving us anymore, are just hanging out, and trying to be honest with ourselves that we are not going to be finishing those projects, so we can get those needles back into the rotation of making things, get that yarn, figure out what to do with that yarn, become part of Stash. Maybe it will be donated. Who knows? But let's get those whips ripped out. So, in the spirit of that, I've decided not to go through the things that I've been working on. Instead, I'll show you the things that I'm going to rip out. Now, the very important thing that I've been working on that I showed in the video and I tried on and showed you in the video is my Rhinebeck sweater. So I also thought it looks worse when I just hold it up. It looks better when you try it, when I tried it on, which I was really excited about. And I don't know how many people goes through this, I'm sure a lot, where you're working on a garment and you're just not sure about it, but you don't want to try it on, because if you do, that will confirm whether or not it fits. So it's almost this ignorance is bliss kind of state where you can work on the thing and you don't know whether or not it's going to fit. So you can just enjoy knitting without the stress of realizing that it doesn't fit. So that was kind of where that project was for me. The yoke of it is a lace, a very simple lace pattern. And of course, for those of you who have ever worked with lace, when it's on the needles, it kind of looks like trash. So you need to open it up and kind of stretch it out to see the actual lace pattern. So thankfully, trying that on, the top, the shoulders, the lace yoke does fit and looks really, really good. And measuring things, I'm about an inch away from starting to work the hem, which is 1.5 inches. So it's really just simple knitting right now. Rhinebeck is less than 3 weeks away, as for the date of this video. So today is October 1st. So I have plenty of time to finish 1 inch of stockinette and 1.5 inches of ribbing. I really have no excuse to finish this on time, so we'll see what happens. So first up on my list of whips that I'm going to rip out, and this one I struggled with a lot, is this fingerless glove that I made. And of course, I didn't look up the name of it. I will put the link down in the description box. This is a pattern through Knitrino, and it was a mystery knit along for their knitting retreat in Ashford, North Carolina, Asheville. I don't know the names of places either. that I went on back in 2023. And I started this on the retreat, and this is supposed to be Frida. Oh, you can't see it on this side. You can see better. There's her eyes. So of course the two mitts, I don't know how mittens work. You were supposed to have her eyes show up. I love this yarn. I love these colors. It's beautiful. This was actually even designed with Barbara Kingsolver. So it was based, it was kind of inspired by her book that I'm also going to forget the name of that I read for the retreat. So she got to, I think she had some input on designing this. And so it was fun. It was cute. It fits mostly. I don't think it's been blocked, so it could grow a little bit. It's color work, so that can get a little snug. I may have even put that on the wrong hand. Not that it really matters. But it has been sitting in my whip pile since 2023. And I don't think I'm going to make the other one. And it's for a couple of reasons. So first off, I tried it on a couple of times, and I realized I'm not going to wear this. And then realizing that, okay, I'm not going to wear it. So who would I give it to? And I'm trying to think of someone that I would give this to. And I cannot think of anyone who would actually, anyone who's going to appreciate it, of course. But I just was honest with myself that I don't think there's anyone that I'm going to give it to. I don't know anyone who, is super crazy about Frida. That would just be like, oh my God, this is my favorite thing ever. So instead of just letting this languish, it's all this beautiful yarn that I want to be able to use for something else. So that is my first whip that is going to be ripped, as painful as it may be. So that is whip number one. Whip number two, this is an easy one to rip out, and I had thrown this in the bag of things that I was going to rip out. And there's not much to it. So this is a design that I was working on, and it's for teaching color work. And the yarn, I do like the yarn. This is Brusca is the name of the yarn that I purchased. It is a more rustic yarn that I tend to like. But it's not really working out for this design that I'm working on, more to teach color work. And the challenge there is if I have students who want to learn color work and use the yarn that I'm using, I don't think a lot of them would appreciate this, especially if they're beginners. So I'm just going to rip that out, get these needles back, I have my Sassafras strawberry stitch marker on there. So I want to get that off of there so I can use it. So here, I'll even do it here in front of you. So I'm going to rip this out. This one is not that painful. And this is part of the design process. It's a lot of ripping out. My only thought about this is I was keeping track of this. See, I took it off the needles. It's not that scary. Keeping track of this on my stash sheet. So I assumed that this question might come up. So I was logging this on my stash. It wasn't much, but now I'm going to rip it out. If you rip something out that you started logging on your stash sheet, you don't have to remove that. You have worked that yarn. It is okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not that serious. The spirit of this challenge is to use our stash yarn, yes, but that doesn't mean you get punished if something isn't serving you and you need to rip it out. You have done the work to use that yarn. You'll just, I guess, be using it again. And if someone out there is trying to take advantage and double dipping, then I don't think anyone's doing that. We've got too much stash. So yeah, I'm ripping it out. Not that scary. I'll use this yarn for something else, and I will probably pick a different yarn for the design someday. I have quite a few designs going on. All right, so that's been ripped out in front of you. Here it is. That wasn't my plan, but there we go. And then the last project that I'm going to rip out is a little bit scarier. It is a sweater. This is the brick sweater. It is a basic top-down raglan that I was knitting a sample of, well, not a sample for the shop. They have them at the shop. The shop that I work at Purls of Wisdom, they use this sweater a lot because it's pretty basic, pretty simple for new knitters to learn how to knit a sweater. So I was making this for my mom, but she doesn't like it. And I was talking to her about it because I was like, you're going to wear this sweater because you're going to love it. And she was like, I'd prefer a cardigan. And I think sometimes we get an idea in our head that we want to make something for someone, and that we think more about the thing that we want to make and not necessarily the preference that the person might have. So I decided to respect my mother's wishes and not make her this sweater that she probably won't wear. So I was pretty far along. I actually had knit, I was playing around with this. I had like done a folded collar that's not in the pattern. And I was doing like the hem and the sleeve cuffs in a different color. And I didn't like it. It didn't look good after I did it. So I took those out. So I had already ripped out a bunch of this anyway. So yeah, it's just been sitting there. It's been something I've been thinking about working on, and it's just not going to happen. And she doesn't want it anyway. It's a smaller size, so it's not going to fit me anyway. So I would like my needles. I would like my stitch saver tubing back, my barber cord. I've got one pair of needles, the smaller circulars for the sleeve. I would like all of that back. And I would like that to no longer be a whip that's kind of haunting me. And maybe think about making my mother a sweater, probably next year, making her a cardigan as she requested. So those are the whips that I'm going to rip for our challenge. And I encourage you to join us, challenge yourself to rip out anything that is no longer serving you. And then finally, I have my list here to keep me on track. I am wearing the Melting Pot sweater that's by Alina Apazova. And this is knit up in Emiak Fibers Tibetan Cloud. This was actually knitted up by my bestie Amy, and she gave me this sweater. So get you a bestie who will knit you things. So I wanted to make sure that I address that because I would forget. And finally, let's talk about the stash challenge. So again, we just finished up September. Our numbers are still pretty far down. So I was thinking that, as the end of the year comes along, people are kind of dropping off more in filling in the stash challenge spreadsheet. And just today, we were chatting in the Discord just this morning. Someone mentioned that it might be getting harder and harder to use stash yarn and not yarn probably purchased this year. And that makes a lot of sense to me as well. I am also having a hard time with that. So, and that's totally fine. But we do have our numbers for this month. Well, our total numbers for this month, we're up to 179,845 grams of yarn that we've worked up from our stash this year. That has come to 396 pounds. And in the beginning of the year, I had teased that it would be fun if we could knit up enough yarn work up enough yarn from our stash to equal the weight of a blue whale. I don't think we're going to make that, but we did make the weight of a blue whale's heart. A blue whale's heart is about 400 pounds. So that's pretty impressive. And then for our yards, we have 356,325 yards, and that's about 202 miles. And so we're still adding to the collective stash yarn usage, and kind of starting to think about 2026. So if you are maybe just watching and you're not actually participating in the stash challenge, but you'd like to, or you're thinking about it, you can reach out now and be put on the list. You can reach out now and be put on the spreadsheet if you want, so you can start playing around with that. If you want to join in the Discord and see what's going on and start to think about the stash challenge for 2026, start preparing. So that means anything that you purchase this year will count for your stash in 2026. So Rhinebeck's coming up. It's Fiber Festival time. So keeping all of that stash set aside for 2026. And now the top 10 heavyweight lifters for our Stash Challenge 2025 for September. Well done, everybody. The numbers aren't changing too much. I know that there's some really high numbers at the top. But for those of you that are just shy of the top 10, you might be able to start sneaking your way up there. So don't give up. And then our top 10 scoreboard for our long distance runners. So again, congratulations to everyone that's making it on the top 10 list. We'll start thinking about what's going on in 2026. We'll start talking about plans for 2026. So every year the spreadsheet sort of evolves and what we sort of do kind of evolves. So I will be taking suggestions for what we want to do for next year. If we want to change anything, add anything, remove anything, and start to make a plan so we can continue this challenge of working up our stash yarn. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next month.